Tonight on Cronkite News, the importance of taking care of our night sky.
Kids should know that there's things out there bigger than them, and, using your imagination and being able to explore.
And a brother and sister duo who compete in livestock shows across the state. Plus, the struggle of families at the U.S. Mexico border.
This is where I have Mexican friends across the line that have been waiting for their papers for 10 years.
Good evening and welcome to a special edition of Cronkite News. I'm Isaiah Soto. Thank you for joining us. Arizona is known for its beautiful skies, but for years the state has been fighting against light pollution, and we actually have more certified dark sky places than any other U.S. state. Tonight, a group of documentary filmmakers at ASU tell us what some people are doing to preserve and protect it from light pollution.
The stars are part of our history, part of the foundation of whole fields of like math and science. You know, the stars have famously been used for navigation. That is such a big part of our history that everyone deserves to connect to forever.
Everybody in the world has a right to a starry night sky, and that it shouldn't be taken from us. And we should do all that we can to preserve it.
Think about how many people over eons of time have stared up at that sky and just dreamt. I could only imagine a world where our youth isn't able to see the stars in general. It would be one of the greatest losses of humanity.
Growing up in Arizona, I had the opportunity to learn about the stars from a really inspirational teacher who really helped me form a really strong connection to the stars.
When I was a kid, I lived in New York. Nobody ever told me why I could see 8 stars at home, but the planetarium showed thousands.
So when I moved up to Camp Verde, one of the big reasons why I moved there was they had just became the 20th International Dark Sky Community. And I was able to find this beautiful little creekside spot, go out in my backyard and I see the Milky Way every night.
Everybody grows up with a certain amount of knowledge. They come with certain backgrounds. They're not always exposed to knowing about light pollution.
Which type of light pollution? Because, there's several, right? So we have, our sky glow that minimizes our ability to see the fractal imagery of the stars.
If you take, even a short drive away from a city and look back at it, you'll see just sort of a glowing sphere. People call it the light dome or the sky glow. Once you know what it looks like, it's pretty clear.
We are not increasing by 2% a year worldwide in terms of the rate of light pollution going up, but nearly 10%. And you're almost at the point of no return. So we have to all participate in as little or as much as we can to reduce the levels of light pollution worldwide.
I never thought about the color of lights having such a big impact. These orange lights don't scatter as much in the atmosphere, meaning they don't have quite as much of an impact on the sky.
And why that matters is everything that we see is because the color is present in the light that it's projected.
As LEDs started becoming the norm, it was found that we lost quite a few stars for the same amount of light.
Certainly gas stations, any retail establishment generally, it's because they keep it on for safety purposes. The newer locations, I have to put together when I'm doing a design for, say, a parking lot. I have to put in both pre and post curfew calculations. The more we do this, the better it is for everybody.
You have to use it responsibly. That means using lights that are more reddish than blue. Blue light actually depletes the melatonin in your body, which allows you to get enough rest at night. It maintains your circadian rhythm. It has actually ties to things like obesity, depression, all sorts of things.
It basically affects what we do. I mean, if there's too much light pollution, you can't see fainter objects. And the objects I'm interested in, the Kuiper Belt objects, are small objects. They're out in the outer solar system. So I need a big telescope to be able to take data on them, to take an image of them.
We are trying hard on all those fronts to try to mitigate the impact of light pollution on our lives, not just for the research factor that astronomers try to protect, but there's actual solutions to that. Well, it begins at home. In your own home, you can look at your lights and say, are these lights needed? And then you can do things beyond your home. You can do things with your city. Tucson's been very good about keeping their lighting as subdued as possible because they know they have an observatory 65 miles away. In fact, in 2019, they changed out almost 20,000 lights, and they saved an incredible amount of energy, $2 million in terms of energy savings. So all this stuff they did because the government was conscientious enough to take the right steps.
I mean, I don't see how you could get the U.S. government to get involved in that. It's just not going to happen. It's got to be a locally driven thing. And that means you've got to have people or astronomers doing something about it.
I was asked to give a talk in Norman, Oklahoma. I influenced the students there, and they went out and they got a full map of their city, and they could tell the city where lights should be changed and where not. It took 2 years, but they actually succeeded in making their laws stricter.
We are our best advocates for everything, right? For our health, for our community, and if we are involved, if we are present and in the moment and we vocalize, we make change.
There's an organization called the International Dark Sky Association, and they actually measure the brightness of the sky. So there's lots of places in Arizona now where you can go and know that you're going to see a real sky.
What did you see on the moon?
Lots of craters. It's white and pretty cool when you see all the details and it's up close.
Kids should know that there's things out there bigger than them. And, you know, using your imagination and being able to explore, I think that's when looking up in the stars, it sort of inspires.
You just don't see those kinds of things without something like this. And so the fact that this is a dark sky city and they have so much pride in everything and to be able to be so open and teaching people, we're lucky.
Being able to look at the night sky and go, oh wow, that's gorgeous. It's sort of a transformative experience that most people don't have.
Without this source of beauty, we lose part of ourselves. We lose the inspiration that you need to be creative, to think outside the box, to be a writer like Shakespeare talking about the sun and the moon in his sonnets, or Van Gogh to paint Starry Night. All this inspiration comes from just viewing the night sky.
According to data from the National Park Service, the night sky has gotten brighter by nearly 10% in recent years. However, there were some exceptions. Cities like Tucson and Flagstaff did not see an increase in light pollution because they've implemented many lighting regulations. Coming up next, a trip down to one of the busiest sections of the U.S. Mexico border.
The cartels just threatened us, nothing more, because my husband didn't want to join them.
When we return, we will meet several people attempting to seek asylum into the U.S.
Scientists and engineers that support the next mission to Mars could be in this class.
Getting a degree at ASU is a journey that can take you anywhere, into a world of groundbreaking technology and renowned award-winning faculty. Professors who help you to impact the world. Whether you're on campus or at home, becoming your best starts with learning from the best.
I grew up in a small border town, and water was really important to us. Without enough water, we can't farm, we can't eat, we can't live. And the way we're doing it right now, straight up doesn't have a future. I went to ASU because this is a place where you solve problems. With vertical farming, we can grow the same amount of food with 95% less water than traditional farming. The work I'm doing at ASU is changing the way I look at the world.
Welcome back. The Tucson sector is one of the busiest sections of the U.S. Mexico border, covering more than 260 miles. It's also a popular place for migrants trying to seek asylum. Our Cronkite news reporter, Denzen Cortez, went to Nogales, Mexico to talk to families who were waiting for their asylum hearings.
In a tiny hillside neighborhood in Nogales, Sonora, the sights and smells of domestic life are everywhere. But these homes aren't for people looking to make permanent roots. They are the ordinary artifacts of migrants, patiently seeking asylum, many from cartel violence. These migrants live just a 10-minute drive from the entrance to the border and just a few miles away from a new life. We met 22-year-old Marisol Sanchez Hernandez, a migrant seeking asylum with her family. She says they left because of cartel violence.
The cartels just threatened us, nothing more, because my husband didn't want to join them.
They live in a single room, no bigger than 84 square feet. She says they could feel the cold wind piercing their uninsulated walls.
We bundle ourselves the best we can with blankets.
Her daughter showing us the bed they sleep on.
For many U.S. citizens, this border wall represents protection of the country. But for many migrants here in Nogales and beyond, this border wall represents a barrier to hope.
Across the border in Nogales, Arizona, government officials understand migrant struggles and say the system has struggles of its own.
I mean, the Washington, D.C. is just ignoring it completely, and right now they're trying to figure it out.
Former Mayor of Nogales, Arturo Garino, has reasons to be mad as a recent border bill in Congress was blocked by majority Republicans, which would have moved asylum cases to Homeland Security for a faster review process.
Put it this way, I have Mexican friends across the line that have been waiting for their papers for 10 years, legally. You can't fix them from 2,000 miles away. You have to come down and look at things.
And to those who make it across the border, their journey is just beginning.
¿De dónde? Perú, México.
Those with family sponsors get a ride to organizations like Helping with All My Heart in Phoenix, founded by Cristobal Perez, that will connect them with their families.
¿De dónde? ¿De qué parte de México? Guanajuato, Río Guanajuato.
We give them backpacks, hygiene products, let them borrow phones to communicate with family, and airport travel.
Perez says they get an average of 2 busloads a day with the possibility of more. They have helped more than 40,000 people since 2022. One of them, Luis, fleeing the corruption in Colombia.
Hopefully the people understand that not all of us are bad. A lot of us just want to work.
Back in Mexico, Marisol and her children hope to be among the lucky ones boarding a bus to the U.S. soon. And against all odds, their optimism for a better life isn't dimmed by a steel wall. Reporting from the southern border, Denzen Cortez, Cronkite News.
U.S. and Customs Border Protection says there are nearly 4,000 agents working in the Tucson sector. Coming up next, a club that's bringing a bit of Hawaii to the mainland.
Nobody wants to leave home. They leave because they have to.
After the break, the traditional Hawaiian sport practiced right here in the desert.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. You know, the ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
As a teacher, you just want to reach people. You want to make a difference. You want to help them. I have an opportunity to do something I never imagined I would be able to do. Go out and build the best biology class the world has ever seen. When you go into Dreamscape Learn, you put on a set of goggles and you can go anywhere. You can be anyone and do anything. The thing about Arizona State University is they're always thinking about what's next. We can create virtual reality experiences so that you can learn by exploring in a virtual world the way that scientists explore in the real world. And kids can feel that. All these emotions are what help the brain encode information. When I see a student come out of VR, the look on their face is nothing like I've ever seen when I finish a lecture. They look so happy to be there. In that moment, you know that you've reached them.
Welcome back. Now to the traditional sport really making a splash here in the Valley. I'm talking about Hawaiian outrigger canoeing. In fact, there are 4 canoeing clubs here across the city. Cronkite News reporter Tabitha Bland tagged along with one club as they brought their skills and their culture to the desert.
A strong pull, right on the cue of their call. Hundreds of miles from the ocean, this boat courses through the waters of Tempe, Arizona.
Nobody wants to leave home. They leave because they have to.
Ryan U. Darby is from Maui, and like many other Hawaiians, traded the saltwater for the desert.
There are a lot more Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, coming to North America, specifically the Southwest, because of cost of living in Hawaii.
But they didn't leave the island life behind completely. They brought their paddles to freshwater.
It's a narrow canoe, and they typically seat 6 people, and it was made that way for long journeys because that's how our kupuna, our ancestors, discovered different islands.
Usually the teams head out here in the evening, but as you can see, the sun is actually rising right now. And what time is it? 7:20. 7:20 in the morning. They're out practicing, getting ready for their next race.
But there are some things they must do before hitting the water.
So before we do anything, we always, lead with prayer, honor the earth and honor Creator and all of our people with our prayers.
The water is certainly not filled with crashing ocean waves.
Well, the water is man-made, we know that, and then it separates these 2 sacred mountains, and then we have all these buildings right behind us. The water's not as deep, you can't see the bottom.
And even though it's not Hawaiian land, they are careful to acknowledge their gratitude of the native Southwestern people and their land.
Being on the waters, we honor the Native American people, so the Gila River people, the Akama O'odham people, and then the people of Peepash, and then thinking about all of the native people in this land. Without them, we wouldn't be able to paddle like this.
So 2 days a week, members of the outrigger canoeing group Naleo Okekai meet, keeping their boats and traditions afloat.
The main reason I ended up joining Naleo Okekai is not for paddling. I realized the biggest thing I missed was my people.
There are times that a sense of community must be created.
1, 3. 1, 2, 3.
In this case, in a canoe.
The sport was first brought to Arizona in 1997 with a mission to educate and inform the community about their Polynesian heritage. Coming up next, two siblings who are in charge of prepping farm animals 10 times their size.
We work pretty good together most of the time. We have our moments, but most of the time they're pretty good.
Find out more on their secret to success after the break.
People have always had trouble trying to put me into a box. A professor, suit and tie is just not me. Without the ocean, I don't know what I would do. The ocean's always been there for me. As Hawaiian people, we believe that the coral is the first living being to come out of the darkness. It's the foundation of our entire lifestyle, and that's what my research is about. What we do is we take photographs of the reef over long periods of time to create models that can tell us what the planet is doing. If we go deaf to what the Earth is telling us, then we'll never be able to live in harmony. If I can get my students excited about protecting the ocean, then they're the ones who are gonna really make the difference. I hope my students realize that I'm not trying to prepare them for something in the distant future. Their time is now at Arizona State University.
Welcome back. You've heard of the Westminster Kennel Club Dog Show. Now, one local competition that's a lot like that, but instead of dogs, they're showcasing livestock. Cronkite News reporter Blake Neiman has more now from the State Fair Livestock Competition.
Minutes before showtime at the Arizona State Fair,
You have to make sure that your steers are being fed and watered every hour.
Bronson and Faith Campa are frantically getting their animals ready to enter the ring.
You blow them out with the blow dryer, you take them to the wash rack, you wash them, then you blow them out again. Then you fit them where you pull up their hair and you make them look all fluffy.
In the show ring, the two siblings aged 10 and 15 command these near 1,000-pound beasts to give the judges a good look. And the judges often like what they see, with the brother and sister having won over 100 4-H competitions, including Best in Show in the steer and turkey categories at this year's State Fair.
You get to raise them for about a year, and it's been really, really fun.
But this labor of ag love stretches beyond the crowded stalls of the State Fair to a farm rooted in generations of work. The Campas have an agricultural footprint in Kingman, Arizona, dating back nearly a century.
I'm a fifth-generation rancher here in Mojave County, so I've been raised in the agricultural livestock industry my entire life.
My grandfather always said that this is the best place in the world.
The brother and sister continue the family work with the tangible benefits.
It's important that we continue to produce good quality food,
often leading to the intangible.
Responsibility, attention to detail, honor, integrity. There's a lot of life lessons that it teaches.
We're working cattle 24/7 together, so we work pretty good together most of the time. We have our moments, but most of the time they're pretty good.
And pretty good is actually great for family dynamics.
We get to do it as a team. We're a team, and we do whatever it takes to get it done.
Can you feed her hay?
When Faith is feeding the animals, Bronson steps up to help clean, well, the meal before. And while Bronson's busy drying off one calf, sister and mom are already washing the next one.
My whole family's in it, and we all do it together.
Once all the preparation for a show is done, the campers corral all the livestock into a trailer, lock it up, and hit the road.
There's times we come through the valley, Phoenix, and it's 120 plus degrees.
Sometimes they get a little rowdy because the back seat's only so big for the both of us, so...
But when the siblings receive that Best in Show ribbon, it makes them appreciate the journey it took to get here.
It definitely pays off, all the hard work and everything.
That's important that these kids have good memories and they can look back and say, you know, I had a really good childhood and I'm successful because of it.
You know, I think every parent will say the toughest struggle and stress is being a parent, but at the end of the day, when we're in the barn, it's supposed to reward.
And the Campas will continue to reap life's rewards in the barn and beyond. In Kingman and Phoenix, Blake Neiman, Cronkite News.
Thanks, Blake. The first show took place back in 1948 at the famous Westward Ho Hotel in downtown Phoenix. That's it for tonight's special edition of Cronkite News. I'm Isaiah Soto. Thank you for joining us. And to see top Arizona stories anytime, log on to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.